We're pleased to be joined by Senator Chuck Walen, who represents District 4 in Newtown, North Dakota. A new member, but someone that has been active politically as chair up in his district of the GOP, whose son-in-law was a member of the legislature, and now it's your turn. Senator Walen, welcome.
Thank you, Scott. I look forward to our conversation today, and yes, I've been involved for quite a few years. When I lived in Fargo, I was involved in District 22 as the vice chair there, and when I moved up to Newtown area, I became the vice chair and then eventually the chair. So it's been enjoyable.
And I understand you're accountant. Any legislative body could use more of those, so that's nice.
Yeah, my background is in accounting and in real estate. I've been busy with that. So when I got here and won the election, they decided to put me on the Finance and Tax Committee and the State and Local Government Committee because of those backgrounds.
That's great. How's it going so far?
I'm enjoying it. I'm finding it very interesting. There'd be a certain bill that would come before us, and yeah, that sounds like a great idea, and I want to go on that. And then I'd hear the opposing side, and we better make some changes to this before we move forward. So it's a learning experience. Welcome
to your world. You're getting information in each year, and balancing it all out, sorting it all out can be a challenge, right?
Oh, yes. It will be an interesting challenge. Some of my issues are going to be very benign, and some will be controversial.
Oh, tell me a little bit about the issues that you're most concerned about.
So one of them that's important is the 911 operators, that we would consider them as a first responder in the law, and so they would be able to get those benefits. It's Senate Bill 2296. It isn't scheduled yet, but it'll be coming up shortly. They're the ones who talk to the people the first time.
Tip of the spear, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're hearing everything that's going on, whatever the issue is, before the first responder actually gets to them, whether it's fire, medical, whatever the issue is.
Sure.
And they're involved in that for 5 minutes, maybe up to an hour before someone can even get to them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What else do you come in wanting to make sure that is addressed, or any issues that you're going to be tracking closely?
So another issue I got in there is our state says that we're going to pay for the student for schools, that we're paying 100% of that. So one of my bills is Senate Bill 2295, which is a per pupil payment to the schools, whether it's a private school, public school, or even a home school. There are certain percentages that I put in my bill, and some of that's controversial, but the taxpayer is the one who's paying the bill. The parents of those children are paying the bill. And if you're a homeschooler or in private school, they should have part of those funds. But this bill says that we will pay 100% of the cost of a per pupil payment to the school where the child goes. And it's not just the 60 meals, it's all the meals with the exception of 2.
There is, an effort that's continuing from last legislative session on, the similar vein. Governor Burgum vetoed it. He told us at the time that the reason he did is he thought that would have checked the box, but really wasn't the reform that was necessary, that we needed to be bolder and do more in the way of education freedom and having the dollars follow the student, if you will. What's your sense so far early on here of whether or not you'll be able to get a bold solution to that problem once and for all? Because this has been debated in these halls for years.
Well, with the issue with the property taxes, one of the ways to get it to be fair for everyone is if we take the school out of the property taxes, put it on the state for the most part, other than for school buildings, that will make it more fair as far as it being able to pass. I think we have a really good chance because of the public's perception of they want their taxes down. They want it to be fair across the board.
Interesting. Jonathan Fortner is with us as well from the Lignite Energy Council. Jonathan, how long have you been in these hallways?
So this is the beginning of my 4th session. Thank you for having me on.
8 years.
Yeah, so 8 years I've been around at the Lignite Energy Council. This will be my 4th session here in the North Dakota capital. Happy to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the energy issues that are important to the Lignite Energy Council this go around. What do we? What would you say is top 2 or 3?
Sure. So I think just taking off of the theme of the day, right? The Trump administration coming in, the executive orders that have been flying out the door. I mean, it's unprecedented. And for us, the last 4 years were not fun as the coal industry. We faced a number of different EPA regulations. Any one of those could have shut down a mine, a plant, or all of them. We've been engaged in that process. We've been supplying public comments. We've been building the administrative record. EPA didn't listen to our concerns. They went ahead and finalized those rules. So as industry, we're challenging some of those in the court system right now. Leading an industry coalition to do so. We've been working with the state of North Dakota and the Industrial Commission, the Attorney General's office, and they are also leading state coalitions on those issues as well. So as Trump comes in, the good news is that the boot kind of comes off our throat a little bit. Some of those issues that are in the courts are going to have to play out, and maybe the change of direction, on the side of the EPA will change with new leadership to drive those bills in a different way, or we'll just see. That it's yet to be determined. But the other issues that are remaining out there that have not yet gone to court, EPA administrator needs to be appointed as soon as possible. They need to go in, and I believe, just kind of seeing the theme of executive orders on energy issues, the unleashing America's energy. He's issued a full review of every one of the regulations that have gone out to see what the costs are associated with those, if they're workable, and I believe most of those will be rescinded. But what happens is once those are rescinded, a new public comment period opens, right? Because it's another action that the EPA is taking. So what will be strange is all these years, industry and red states have been fighting with EPA. Now we're kind of all going to switch sides of the table where red states and industry will kind of line up, hopefully, with where EPA is going. Blue states and environmental groups will take the other side. As we all know, they've got more money than industry does to fight these issues. And so those will just continue on, probably end up in the courts as well.
I'm curious, Senator Walen, in your case as a new legislator, folks like Jonathan that have been around here, how much of a resource they are for you on these energy issues? How do you forge those relationships with the industry experts that are here for you?
When those kind of issues come before us, I'm looking at their guidance to tell me the pros and the cons of whatever that legislation is. And I'm definitely for opening up our energy. There shouldn't be anything that squashes what we can do in our state. I mean, we can provide energy for the world if we're allowed to. Take the regulations away as much as we can and open us up.
And obviously you have probably more oil and gas in your district up there, Kenmare over to just south of Stanley all the way down to Sakakawea, right?
Correct.
And just neighboring coal country there a little bit. So you've got a foot in both of those houses. But it seems to me we're in a really unique time where the oil and gas industry and the lignite industry are sort of joined at the hip in this fight against all this overregulation and efforts to increase the cost of American energy. And it's a great time to. I mean, is this something that concerns your constituents? Are they talking about it every day?
They're not talking about it every day, but they are talking about it. They want it open up. They want to be able to produce without their hands tied.
And what can this legislative body do, Jonathan, on that front?
Sure. So sharing the background of where the federal issues go and how it plays in North Dakota is, we're a state, if you're talking Bureau of Land Management, which is under the Interior, very fortunate and lucky that former Governor Burgum looks to take over that agency. There's an issue right now where Biden administration had issued a resource management plan, which they do, periodically. And right now, that plan would restrict probably 95% of the federal minerals that are found in the coal areas from being extracted. There's also that's going to affect the oil and gas industry as well. So that's an issue I think we'll see. If that ends up in the courts, it'll be kind of funny because I believe it'd be Burgum v. Burgum on that, because Burgum started, kind of those legal actions before he left office. So we'll see. But those and every other issue where the state plays a role is obviously it affects 53% of the state revenues come from the oil and gas industry. Lignite industry pays about $100 million in taxes as well to state and locals. But really, it's for the state to be aware of the impacts that the feds have. It's the state to stand up and say, hey, we are sovereign. We have our own interests. We have our own state laws. Our constituents, we have employees that work there. We have people who are paying for the products that come from these industries. So in the last session in 2023, there was $3 million for lignite litigation, $3 million for oil and gas litigation. That didn't go to industry. That went to the Industrial Commission. And as lawsuits were generated, they have to go out. They don't have the lawyers on staff to kind of do these issues. issues. These are Clean Air Act. These are federal issues. You really need experts, and so those dollars go to spend for special assistant attorney generals that fight those issues in court. So there will be another a renewed ask to make sure that those resources are available again. And under Trump, like I said, whether you're looking at I can come back after the break. Yeah,
short break. We have a break coming up. We'll continue with Senator Chuck Walen from Newtown, North Dakota, one of the new members of the legislature, and Jonathan Fortner from the Lignite Energy Council at the state capitol, Bismarck, today. Don't go away. Back from the state legislature in Bismarck today. We're at the state capitol, and we're going to do a series of conversations here on What's on Your Mind, meeting the newer legislators, and we're chatting today with Senator Chuck Walen, who is representing District 4 from Newtown today. And our segments meeting the new legislators brought to you by the Lignite Energy Council and the North Dakota Petroleum Council. Just before the break, Jonathan, you were talking a little bit about some tax treatment that will be before the legislative session. Obviously, this industry, lignite industry, just under attack. And the Trump administration, new sheriff in town, some of that the burden will be lifted off, but you still need the correct environment to fight in this industry and maintain. So what are you proposing?
Right. So, a little background of why we're bringing in a tax relief bill is, you heard a little bit about the legal. Our industry has probably spent around $5 million altogether fighting back against these. We're in an unfair market right now for electricity, fighting against federal subsidies that go against intermittent resources that we have to compete with. We don't get the same tax treatment as others do, so that does hurt the economics of power plants in the market. It's billions of dollars in assets that run and operate these facilities that when they go to do outages every 2 or 3 years, they have to shut down everything so they're not producing for a couple of months. And they put sometimes $50-60 million into upgrading the equipment, cleaning them, all of those things. So there's a lot of costs. And then let's add inflation, on top of all of those costs. So what we have is in the 2021 legislative session, we had a bill that provided a 5-year tax relief from paying the coal conversion tax. And what that is when you burn coal and turn it into electricity, the power plant operators pay a tax to do that. We also pay a severance tax when you mine coal. That goes as well. So what that did was for 5 years, the amount that was collected from the conversion tax that would go to just the general fund, that we got a 5-year reprieve from paying that. We still pay money that goes to the counties in coal country as well. Some research dollars that kind of flow back to the Lignite Research Council, but that's gone for 5 years. That helped Coal Creek sale happen. That helped us in the market with legal, with all kinds of expenses. Back in 21, we didn't know exactly what the Biden administration was going to bring, but we were kind of preparing for that. And we had significant support in both the House and the Senate to pass that bill. We're back again this time around, and we know now far more details and just knowing where it goes. Hopefully we get the ship righted, but we're seeking a 10-year extension of that tax relief. And really, it's just continuing what we're already doing, and what you need to know about the coal industry is, we're largely owned by nonprofits. So it's electric cooperatives that own the majority of the coal plants in this state. They have membership, so there's just a different model. It's not all driven towards profit. It's more to keep rates low. North Dakota is one of the cheapest states in the nation for electricity rates, and we're the most reliable when it comes to electricity as well.
Obviously, this is over in the House Finance and Tax Committee now, but it'll come to the Senate Finance and Tax Committee. You like what you're hearing, Senator Walen?
I like what I'm hearing.
I'm sorry, I didn't have your microphone up. What'd you say?
Said I like what I'm hearing so far. We need to keep our energy moving. We need to have a base load to meet the needs, because we have data centers coming in, which gives economic opportunity for us. We use the energy that we have. If another state doesn't want to use our energy because of how we produce it, okay, we'll keep it and we'll put it to use here, or we'll send it somewhere else. We don't have to follow what other states want us to do.
Just overall, do you as far as tax policy currently in North Dakota, do you still think there's more to do to get us business friendly, to get again these industries in a competitive position to continue to provide the power and lower the cost of energy?
We have been doing a good job. We need to continue to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to get your quick reaction to some of the things related to the greenhouse gas debate that some believe is a pollutant, and of course the Biden administration and most of the woke, agenda is to take that head on. Obviously, there's some changes announced in the last few hours. I got about a minute left. Tell me what your reaction is.
Right. So Colin has been pursuing carbon capture for a long time, and really we're trying to take care of the regulatory threat that we face, kind of under all the climate change activism that could end up shutting down a power plant. We believe, as it's a waste product today, we could capture it, harness it, turn it into a revenue stream, produce more oil and other products with it. We're fighting the EPA in court right now to try and mandate that rule on every power plant. So it's a nuanced position of what carbon capture is, and we're just trying to do what we can to make sure these plants have a future.
All right. And you like what you see so far from the Trump administration?
Absolutely. It's fast and furious, and I'm not tired of winning yet.
And we're only 48 hours in. I love it. Senator Walen, great to meet you.
Nice meeting you, too. Look forward to this in the future.
Yeah, and we'll have more conversations like this and follow some of these priorities of yours as well. And good to get a chance to visit with you and meet you.